Bitcoin just opening up a brand new daily candle, setting up a very exhilarating daily chart. The next 24 hours is going to be very fun. This lending itself to the weekly chart. And Bitcoin has 6 days now to make a move that it's never made in a bear market. And it could be a pretty bullish move. I want to break down that move in this video. Cardano ADA, 2 reminders for ADA holders I want to go over, and I want to dig in to the 6 hour, the zoomed in charts, to kind of give a sense of where we are and how the zoomed in meets the macro. I want to start here real quick. Just a reminder for all you macro-minded investors and holders of crypto out there. This is zoomed out. We are 400 days from the bull market high, right around 400 days to where we are right now. I just want to send you a reminder. We've been tracking these yellow retracement areas, these bear market low bottoming out ranges that we've seen in previous bear cycles. The last bear cycle, it took 476 days from the bull market high to the low to exit that 786 and escape the bear market bottom range. 476 days. Back in 2015, it took 693 days to fall below the 786 line and exit that 786 line. Right now, we're 400 days in this bear market. So just a huge reminder, this bear market, very commonplace. And we've talked about and we've noted before on this YouTube channel, with everything crazy going on in the world, it is amazing that Bitcoin and crypto and ADA and everything is just 100% on pace. The charts are consistent. And I'm saying put aside all the headlines and the emotion that you see out there, and even maybe some personal sentiment that's based on emotion. The data is showing that things are on pace. And I'm not trying to just throw out hopium. This is just simply what the charts are showing. So I want to zoom in the daily chart. It's kind of an interesting and important daily chart right now, because right now with the new daily candle, you can see Bitcoin trading in between the 50-day moving average, this blue line, and the green line, which is the 20-day moving average. The range of this resistance area, incredibly small, not even 1%, just around 1% range. And you can see Bitcoin right now with a daily red candle in between the two. The 20-day moving average will be very important resistance to watch. But more importantly is that yellow line sitting just above the 20-day. From where Bitcoin is right now, we're looking at around 1.5% to 2% move for Bitcoin to that 786 line. That's the yellow line that you see here. Remember, going back to a monthly chart, the 786 line is very simply the last bear market low to bull market high, and it's a retracement to the 786, meaning around a 78% move to the downside, and then a bottoming out is what we've been anticipating, because this is exactly, precisely what we've seen in previous bear cycles. So just with that being said, Bitcoin on pace. Now, here's what's setting up on this chart. If we go over to the weekly, we already noted that Bitcoin has fallen below the 786 line, and it made a move back to the 786 line. And you can just see, look at the huge resistance. And we've been talking about this 786 line for years. I started talking about it back in 2018 as it pertains to the cycles. We finally fallen below it in this bear cycle, and just look at the perfect resistance. It is no surprise to me that the resistance falls exactly at the 786 line. But what's happening now, and Bitcoin has 6 days to make this move, is Bitcoin potentially making a move to the upside. And I'm going to show you some momentum now on the daily chart, actually in a minute, that shows that it's possibly in play for Bitcoin to actually make this move. So this isn't just hopium. There's actually some things happening on the daily that we're going to track. But if you look at this weekly chart, if we go back, and this is kind of why it's the first time this has potentially ever happened, if it happens, we go back to this last bear cycle low in 2018, Bitcoin fell below that 786, pulled back to it like it is now, saw resistance, and then it was just kind of months of pain, putting in another higher low before finally exiting that 786 line months later. Then if we go back to the 2015, and I'm scrolling all the way back here, 2015 bear market low, same thing. Fall below the 786 line, pull back to the 786 line, the yellow line, fails, and then it's just months of pain and bottoming out. You can see Bitcoin actually even failed to show support after actually making finally a move above, falling back below before finally exiting that 786 line October 2015. Now, so the last 2 bear cycles, you can just see that 786 line proving to be resistance, pushing Bitcoin to just sideways or just testing lows once again. Now, here we are, 2018, you get a sense of what that looks like. And here we are now. And right now, you can just see Bitcoin just flirting with it and testing just below the 786 line. Already failed, but it didn't get pushed too much lower. And this is exactly what the next 6 days will kind of, it's the story, I guess you could say, that it's going to tell us. Now, 6 days left. If we look at the daily chart, this is it. This is the resistance. And look at the small range between the 50-day and the 786, around 2% range of resistance. Bitcoin is in the eye of the storm right now. If there's ever to be resistance, it is right now as I record this video. It's into tomorrow. It's into the next day. It's however long it takes for Bitcoin to break through this resistance. Now, I mentioned earlier this momentum. If we look at the momentum of Bitcoin right now, you can first off on the chart see just these higher lows. Bitcoin's in this upward momentum, higher low momentum. And even if we start looking at something like the RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator, higher lows on the slower moving momentum oscillator. And then we have just kind of in the middle, so some indecisiveness, but nowhere near overbought. So a ton of room right here for upside. The stock RSI just coming most recently out of the oversold area, this quicker moving momentum oscillator at the bottom of the screen. So a ton of room there for Bitcoin to just make an explosive move to the upside. And maybe most intriguing is the fact that we have a MACD cross, that blue line, the MACD line crossing the red line, the signal line. Right, this just happened, and you see the histogram turning green. So the momentum is in the bulls' favor. The question is it strong enough? Are the bulls strong enough? Are the markets going to lend itself to this bullish move for Bitcoin to break above and through all of this resistance? The 50-day moving average in blue, the 20-day moving average in green, and that 786 macro resistance. I digress from all of that. When markets open, traditional markets, here's S&P 500 charts. This will probably dictate which way Bitcoin goes. And this could dictate, this chart right here, and the week ahead could dictate what is in store for Bitcoin on the macro, and if this weekly chart does something that it's never done in previous bear cycles. So let's pivot over to Cardano. A couple of reminders for ADA holders. Kind of already mentioned it in the Bitcoin segment, which is we're very much in a commonplace move for crypto cycles. This is nothing new. And for ADA holders specifically, all of the negativity and just the hate, really, that Cardano gets as a blockchain from media and from big money, the fact that ADA is holding on, and it's 26 cents right now, the fact that it's holding on, holding strong through this recession, and it has been over a year of downtrend and just max pain, the fact that ADA is holding strong, so impressive. It is so impressive to me and telling and indicative of what potentially is in store for ADA. And this is something that makes me very bullish on ADA as an altcoin. Now, you can look across all altcoins. You can look across stock markets and different stocks. Everything is down, okay? This isn't like exclusive to Cardano, but this is setting up to be a very commonplace bear market. That's number one reminder. And number two is if there's any hopium enthusiasts, anytime we get any green candles kind of on the zoomed in, which we're going to look at even on the 6 hour, anytime we get that, the hopium kind of is easy to get triggered in a bear market. Everybody's just looking for some type of glimmer of hope. But I want to send a reminder that 20-week moving average, this green line, that's the key area on the macro. For any really bullish macro shift or confirmations that we're going to get, that's where that is. And right now, from where ADA is trading, we're looking at an upside of like around 40%. ADA still has to make a 40% move, and that's to resistance. That's not the bullish confirmation. So ADA could break out 30%, and there's no bullish confirmation with that move from a macro perspective. I mean, if you're a swing trader or you're just kind of a zoomed in trader or something, that's a different story for you. But you know this is a macro-minded YouTube channel, and this is what we're watching. We're tracking the formation of this bear market bottom. So 40% move to the 20-week moving average, and we've seen the story play out time and time again on Cardano ADA, just resistance at that area, right? So it's been resistance through this entire bear market. But there will be a time, I really think, Cardano ADA is going to break above that 20-week moving average. And then it might fall back down, maybe even fall a little bit below it, but we're going to start seeing consistent closes on the weekly chart above the 20-week moving average. It's just a matter of when will that happen. And that story is something that we track, and we do it with patience because we know how these cycles work. It requires so much patience. But what I want to do is I want to zoom into the daily chart and just kind of track what's going on right now with ADA and what potentially is next and how it ties into the macro big picture, because we are zooming in now. Not going to show you a clip, but this is a video I did It was from 10 days ago. If you zoom in here, you can see ADA was trading within this falling pattern. It was around 30 cents. And we were discussing just this very insanely common move where a crypto, it doesn't have to be just ADA, but any crypto just falls below the trend line and gets a pullback to the trend line. That's what we were anticipating. So far, here's where we are in this story playing out. Let's go to the daily chart. We got the fall below from 30 cents. That it's just fell below the trend line. And now what I'm waiting for, me personally, and this is what I'm watching on the charts, is it's not only just this trend line, but you can just notice the 20-day moving average right there below the trend line at 28 cents. The 50-day moving average even kind of just trending down towards the trend line. A very confluent area of resistance right here. So no matter if it's the trend line or those moving averages, how does ADA, if it gets there, if it makes any move to these areas, how does ADA interact with those areas? Because we all know the story of ADA through this bear market. We just looked at it on the weekly, resistance at the 20-week moving average. But on the zoomed in, it's just been a constant struggle. Lower lows all over the place. ADA continuing to fail to either break above these moving averages that you see here, the green and the blue, or if it does break momentarily, failure to just show support above. And that move of support above those moving averages, the reason we track that is because that is the picture of bullish environment, right? So you go to a bull market, you can go even just exiting a bearish environment back here before the bull market was really confirmed. And you can just see just these support above these trend lines, or above these moving averages, I should say. And you can see that that's the environment we're waiting for, we're looking for. And we've just not gotten that at all through this entire bear market. So we continue to track that. And intertwined within that story are these patterns, are these setups. Now, if we're looking for just that general move to this area of resistance, for ADA right now, it's nothing crazy. I mean, it's a small move of only around 7% or so to get there. The setup potentially for that could be on this 6-hour chart. We kind of have this inverse head and shoulder setup, and you just see the move. So most recently, you see ADA kind of breaking out of this neckline of the inverse head and shoulders. The question is, and just on the flip side, as we were tracking this pullback on the more zoomed out, the pullback to the trend line, on the zoomed in, we would also be tracking a potential throwback to this neckline. What happens there on the short term? So to the downside, maybe there's some upside first. Is there going to be a throwback to that neckline to test before getting the real move to the upside? Or is it going to fail? And then if there is no throwback, what does ADA do? If it does make a bullish move, it's only 7 to 8% away. What does ADA do at that lower trend line, right around 28 to 30 cents or so, 28, 29 cents? You go over here to the daily. Here's the 20-day moving average confluent with that area in green. And then that 50-day moving average right now, just above 30 cents, close to 31 cents, will be trending down. And there'll be a very huge resistance area for ADA. What does it do there? That's what I'll be watching. On the short term, though, be careful, everybody, because these markets are very dependent, once again, on traditional markets, very dependent on headlines and what's going on all across the globe. So be careful as we form the bottom of this bear market, no matter what crypto you're holding. And this is just the charts, how I see it, everybody. So let me know your thoughts. How do you see things? How are you doing out there? I appreciate you watching. I really do. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.